Ladies and gentlemen, the show will commence in 5 minutes. While you are waiting, please hit the like button and share the video link.
Please like and leave a comment, and share this video.
Only 3 minutes until the start. Only 2 minutes until the start.
Please like and subscribe to this channel today. And don't forget to share it and hit that thumbs up. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the awesomeness is about to start in 1 minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, the show is about to begin. Grab a drink and a snack, sit down and enjoy watching the show. Don't forget to comment, like the video, and share it to others.
Test. Oh, well, here we are. Sorry about that, everybody.
Oh.
I don't know why that changed it. I didn't change anything. So for some reason, thanks for Drew sending us a message that we've got no audio, but now I think we've got audio back. I'm just going to wait until they say yes in the chat. If you can just say the audio's back. It looks like it's back. I can see it. So you can start again.
We can start again. So, yes, there was an attempt made on the prime minister.
They saw the videos. Yeah, there was an attempt
yeah.
on the Slovakian prime minister, and he got shot. You've seen the videos.
Yeah, and critical but stable, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a possible condition, and hopefully he makes it. He's a very good leader. He's one of the few in the good leaders in the European Union. What is there? 3, maybe? I don't know. 2. There's Orban and Fico, and I don't know.
Yeah, in the Rumble chat, can you let us know if you can hear us now? Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I assume they can hear us now.
Yes, and well, what we're saying is now.
Yes, they can hear us. Yay!
Great.
Yeah, for some reason the expert just turned off the microphone. I don't know why they did that, but there we go.
Yeah. Okay. President Putin is going to China for a visit. He is going to be 16th and 17th, which is starting tomorrow. And one of the topics, obviously, is going to be the multipolar world. You know, they're going to be talking about a lot of trade deals and the usual stuff as leaders talk about. I don't even really know what the United States talks about. They say, well, you better do this or else we're going to do that. But, you know, Russia, China, India, Iran, they talk about trade deals normally and make agreements with countries. The U.S. probably just goes around the world and threatens everybody, do what we tell you to do or else.
Yeah, well, they did, like you said, with India. They said, we're going to sanction you because you're going to do a port with Iran.
Yeah. They didn't even have to go there for that. They just called them on the phone or put it out on the news live wires and said, we're going to sanction you if you do that. Jeez. I don't know.
It's like a bully in a schoolyard, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they go around and they want to be the big hegemon. And like I was saying, that we saw that video with Blinken and saying, oh, I travel around and everybody still wants the United States to be in charge, to run everything. They say, yeah, I bet they do.
Yeah, well, they go, yes, we do, yes.
Yeah. Or maybe they get them down and they said, what are you going to tell me? You want us to be in charge or not? Okay. Well, they got the big weapons. So, and that's the inevitability, Mr. Anderson.
Didn't Teddy Roosevelt say that?
What, inevitability?
Speak softly, but carry a big stick.
Yeah, stick, not... Yeah, I think he did. Yeah. Speak softly and...
Carry a big stick.
Carry a big stick. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it worked back then. I don't know.
Well, the military's their big stick, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the United States, I don't know. They don't speak softly either, though. They go around threatening, as we all see, and everybody knows about whatever the big stick is now, and it, do as we say and not as we do. I guess that's the what is it called? The rules-based order. We make the rules. You follow the rules. We don't have to. Neither does Israel. So
exactly.
Yeah. So the inevitability is that the multipolar world is going to come in no matter what. And we were just talking about what's going on now. Part of what allows the United States to be a hegemon, obviously the biggest thing is the U.S. dollar, and it's as the world's trade currency. And they had the SWIFT system, and they, of course, took Russia off the SWIFT system, and hey, lo and behold.
Took them off swiftly?
Yeah, they took them off the SWIFT system very swiftly, and and they're still making it. They're doing very well, as a matter of fact, without SWIFT. And everybody else is seeing that. And look at the African countries. Oh, yeah, we want to be friends with Russia. What is it, Niger? Was it last week? Get out of there, United States. Get out of here. And just before that, it was France. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Chad.
Russia, come on, Russia.
Chad as well.
Chad. Oh, yeah, Chad was a week and a half ago on one of our shows. So many African countries, and we'll talk a little bit about them too. And the gates. I don't know if that's a topic we have to talk on Rumble or not. Maybe. I'll have to think about it while we're talking. We're not allowed to say certain things, as you know, on YouTube. I don't even know why we bother with YouTube, to be honest with you. Because what do we get, like 30 viewers?
Yeah.
We're shadow banned?
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah.
It's some joker, any joker that puts their first video up on YouTube gets more than 30 views. And here we've been going, and
26 plus 100 subscribers, and
2,600 subscribers, and we get 30 views. Yeah, okay. So
they keep telling me they don't get notifications.
Yeah, all the people. Yeah, even people that are visiting your site regularly, they still don't get. I mean, on their own, they don't get the notifications from YouTube that you put up something new. Yeah, the West is also now acknowledging the present value of things that are going on right now, that it is also inevitable, Mr. Anderson, that Ukraine is going to lose this military conflict. And yeah, it's the sound of inevitability. And the symptoms of inevitability, defeat of Ukraine is one, of course, and people are getting out of the dollar. And yes, we're now seeing and hearing Ukrainian and Western officials making sounds of more mobilization in Ukraine. And everybody that's been watching the show has already seen all these guys going around and grabbing people off the street and throwing them in vans and things like that. But they want to increase that. And of course, they've been leaving Kiev alone for the most part, but they've been grabbing them from, as we said last week, a lot of the areas like
Odessa,
Transcarpathia, not
Odessa.
In the Odessa region, any place that has a lot of people that maybe have a tendency not to be so pro-Russian or pro-Ukrainian. Yeah, they probably leave Lvov alone to a certain extent anyway.
It was lights out in Lvov last night.
Oh,
got a video. It's very dark.
Oh, so somebody took care of a power plant there, I guess, right?
Yeah, they're having blackouts all over the country.
Oh, because of the lack of energy, I think, right? So they shut them off to save or something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not there. Well, they have blackouts. So Blinken, he even weighed in on this mobilization. We have a little video of him. It's like, that even in and of itself is actually meddling in another country. If you think about it, if Russia was going somewhere and talking about that sort of thing, they would call it meddling. But anyway, let's hear.
Your recent mobilization was a difficult decision, but a necessary one.
For you?
The defenders who have so courageously held the line for more than 2 years.
Acts like it's his country.
They need rest. This will allow both, while providing your military with additional troops to fight off bigger invading forces. The mobilization will also allow you to harden your defenses, to build more units.
He acts as if it was his decision.
To Russian aggressors. Now, our joint task is to secure Ukraine's sustained and permanent strategic advantage, so that Ukraine can not only deliver on the battlefield today, but deter and defend against future attacks.
But you're not a party to the conflict, I thought. Oh, guess again, everybody knows they are. And, you can catch a few words here and there that proves it too. I think Blinken, mostly, he, just like the West, Biden and all them, and you heard Lindsey Graham, they want to see more Ukrainians die and take a lot of Russians around with them. We love seeing these Slavic peoples. Matter of fact, you know who said that? Fico, the guy who's in critical condition right now. He said that these people want to kill off Slavs. And
also said he wasn't going to sign the WHO treaty.
Yeah, so yeah, and I guess some people kind of probably want him gone and put somebody in there that will be a willing puppet, like all the rest of the countries, or most of them anyway. Yeah, see Ukrainians die for their country, along with Russian. They love Slavs so much. And we have a couple of videos of Scott Ritter. There's one and there's two, and he'll tell you about what's going on over there.
A large-scale offensive designed to threaten the strategic city of Kharkov. The Ukrainians had been saying for some time now that they had prepared defenses along the border with Russia, north of Kharkov, defenses that include Dragon's Teeth, anti-tank obstacles, minefields, and a series of heavily fortified trench-like positions. This turns out not to be the case. As the Russians advance, they're finding out that there's very little effective resistance on the part of the Ukrainians. And indeed, the Ukrainians seem to have been taken by surprise by this Russian offensive effort. And they are now in a panic, pulling forces off of other parts of the front lines, places where they can't afford to lose troops, but they have no choice, and sending them up to Kharkov to try and stop the Russian offensive. As the Russians continue to push down south from the Belgorod area, the other Russian forces will continue to press their attacks in areas in the Zaporizhia and Donetsk, zones of contact. And here, the Ukrainians are likewise similarly weak. They don't have reserves. The Russians advance. The Ukrainians can't stop them. What we're beginning to see is the collapse of Ukraine as a cohesive combat force, that Ukraine will not be able to sustain a cohesive defense along the entire line of contact. Now that a new front has opened up in the north, Ukraine will have to strip forces away from, for instance, Kherson, Odessa, send them up north. That means that they're now vulnerable to the potential of attack by the Russians in that direction. And one could easily see that at a moment when the vast majority of Ukraine's precious reserves are committed to the battle in the north, Russia makes a move down south or doubles down on their drive in the Donbass or Zaporizhia region.
The interesting part about that is they have a lot of forces supposedly guarding the Belarusian border, and yet they have a lot of mines laid there, and they actually do have dragon's teeth and mines, lots of mines there. So in other words, why don't they take those forces? Do you think? And Belarus is not even going to attack.
That's why the French Foreign Legion are going there, aren't they?
I don't think they're going to be in that region.
I thought that's the idea of NATO troops there. So
well, I saw Estonia saying, well, they're going to send troops to the rear, not in any combat position, supposedly. And
well, that's at the rear, sort of.
Well, I think the one with
because they know
they're talking about like Lvov, maybe Western Ukraine,
because they know Belarus isn't going to attack.
You would think so. Maybe they're just. Well, I tell you what, they might be getting desperate. They know that Belarus is not going to attack. Lukashenko's never attacked anybody, and so maybe now they're going to have to. I don't know. It's like play their hand and remove those forces, but maybe they're not. I don't know. Maybe they're just guys that know how to dig trenches or something. And they don't know anything about But the people they drag off the street are the same thing. They don't know how to fight. That's all very, very strange. And also, what he said at the very beginning of that video, Scott Ritter, is they didn't have these defenses, and they're supposed to be there, but they weren't. And Ukrainian Pravda was, putting out the belief that what probably happened is corruption. They were paid. The right people were paid to put in these things, and all the money was siphoned off into corruption, and they never got built, even though they reported they were built. And it seems like it got all the way to Zelensky, because in April he said they're 98% finished back in April. And here now we're halfway through May, and obviously they would have been finished, and they're not. They're not even in existence, let alone not finished. So it's I don't think that they were lying, or I don't know who took the money. Was it Vladimir Zelensky himself, or partly involved in this? I don't have any idea. Very interesting stuff. Anyway.
Here's Scott Ritter again.
Yes.
The new Minister of Defense is Andrei Belousov.
Of Russia.
He has no military experience. He is a lifetime economist, a doctorate. He won his PhD
like Putin,
in 2006.
Also an economist and lawyer.
Speaking on specifically how to manage the state economy. This is a man who has served as a presidential advisor to Vladimir Putin, helping provide guidance through the difficult economic times of 2008, 2012. And this is a man who has served as a deputy prime minister, stepping in and becoming prime minister when the acting or the real prime minister fell ill with COVID. This is a man who is familiar with Vladimir Putin, familiar with government, and familiar with industry. This is exactly the kind of person Russia needs to come in and manage the growth and the sustainability of Russian defense industry at a time when the Russian industry itself is expanding and growing. to make sure that there are no imbalances, to make sure that supply chains are managed appropriately, that costs are kept reasonable. And frankly speaking, at this time of expansive economic opportunity, that corruption is eliminated or kept at the bare minimum. This is what Andrei Belarus does better than just about anybody else. And this is why he was picked to be Minister of Defense. Now, people will say, wait a minute, what does he know about fighting a war? Nothing, but he doesn't need to, you see. Gennady Gerasimov, the chief of the general staff of the Russian armed forces, is staying in power. And he's the one who's been managing this conflict from the beginning. He's the one who's been managing the military aspects of the Ministry of Defense. And he will stay on, and he will continue to provide the leadership that he has provided, the leadership that has put Russia in a position where it is prevailing on the battlefield today. There are a lot of people in the West who are confused by this switch. They think that it's a sign of weakness on the part of Russia. It's anything but. We're not talking about cracks in the Russian system. By bringing in Andrei Belarus, what we're talking about is Putin creating tempered steel. This is making the Russian Ministry of Defense and the Russian Federation far stronger than anything the West could even ever anticipate.
I don't know about making stronger, but it seems like the right move, though.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, you have to see how a person's going to do in a certain position. But this guy, this Andrei Belarus, he's got a really impeccable, impressive record. He's anti-corruption. He's very responsible. He always gets the job done really well. He's a very strong Orthodox Christian. Very, very strong. Very strong. So, yeah. And he's got, like I said, a good record. We have a photo of him, too. I don't know. Forgot. That's him right there. Yeah. I hope he's able to hold his hand up in a salute as long as Shoigu was able to during those May 9th parades. So he doesn't look old. He's just prematurely gray a little bit. So, yes. Okay. Economist, just like Vladimir Putin. Everybody knows Putin is a lawyer, but he's also, I think he's got a PhD in economics, and that's one reason why Russia's doing so well, I guess, too. There are good economists and there are bad ones. I remember back when I was in school, and the one professor said that if you take all the economists in the world and line them up end to end, they'd all be pointing in different directions, And you see some of these people that have the highest degrees and great criteria, in economics, and they put them in these positions and they do terribly. So, we've even had economists. We showed in a video and he says, I don't know what the heck is going on. That's the top economist of the United States. But I tell you what, that doesn't mean he's bad, because
he couldn't explain the printing and the deficit.
Yeah, well,
And the borrowing.
I don't think anybody can, to be honest with you. People talk about that it's not sustainable, but they're still doing it, and it's kind of still holding up, but it can't hold up forever. Yeah. Yes, and as we all know, there have been significant advances by Russian forces in the north, as Scott Ritter mentioned, and that the strong defenses Ukraine is supposed to have built, it's actually, it's like the money was allocated, I said, and nobody knows what happened to it. So
it's a mystery.
Yeah, it's just like that money that was like Donald Rumsfeld on September 10th, 2001. We just lost $1 trillion. What is it? $3 trillion. $3 trillion.
$3 trillion.
It was on the eve of the 9/11 attacks. So we just lost $3 trillion. We don't know what happened to it. It's just gone. The money's gone.
And then there was an attack.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden nobody was talking about it anymore because of the attack. It was that attack came at a very opportune time for certain people. And there's a lot more.
Especially the U.S. Defense Department.
Yeah, so we're not going to talk about that, but you can find it all out yourself, how opportunistic it was for a lot of people when it happened. Yeah. So, also, Jens Stoltenberg, the General Secretary of NATO. Jens Stoltenberg.
Norwegian Wood.
Yeah, we have a new photo of him. I think he looks a little bit flustered in that photo. He looks like, what's the heck's going on here?
He everything he said so far has not come to pass.
Yeah. But I think this time, what did he say? I mean, there's a little bit of truth in some things he says. Otherwise, Jens Stoltenberg, he recently said there will be no point in reconstructing Ukraine if it is defeated. And it's, obviously because Russia's going to have to do that, right? And that's probably what they're now starting to salivate about. But BlackRock, Cargill, Rosemont Seneca, all these companies have put so much money into Ukraine. I mean, George Soros, and then they're going to have to walk away from it.
I'm sure it's a tax write-off.
Yeah. He says, but anyway, his reasoning was, he said, there would be no reason, to rebuild it if it's defeated. And he says, and that is why, he said, you need to ensure Ukraine prevails. I don't know if he's meaning everybody in the world. It's like, why do we have to do it? I don't think I want Ukraine to prevail. Yeah. And of course, Putin's at fault for that anyway. And Richie Sunak, he'll explain that one. We have a video, basically Putin did it. You've heard it before. You lose your car keys, Putin. Can't find your socks, look in the dryer, there's only one sock is missing. Putin did it. He always did that, Your wife says, I don't know how that dent got in the car. Putin must have done it.
Okay, so here we go.
There it is.
Putin cut off the gas supplies.
Putin!
It had a devastating impact on people's lives and threatened our energy security.
Terrible.
And it...
What a liar.
Yeah, I know. And that's what Maria Zakharova said afterwards. It says, the guy is all it is lies. I mean, all these politicians. And matter of fact, he's not the only one. Remember Olaf Scholz? He's the one that started it.
Yeah.
Russia cut off the gas,
I don't understand why anybody's listening to these people.
In this world of greater conflict and danger, 100 million people are now displaced globally.
What?
Ich bin der festen Überzeugung, dass es jetzt Zeit
I
ist
firmly
für
believe it is
einen
now the time for a price cap on Russian pipeline gas to Europe.
Preisdeckel auf russischem Pipeline-Gas nach Europa.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, huh? Makes you wonder. But you just forget about that. Forget about what Ursula von der Leyen said. It's just incredible, these people. I don't know, they change their story all the time and they don't tell us, and we're supposed to think that that's been the story all along. Yes, indeed. But that's even after, I don't know if Ursula von der Leyen said that before or after the U.S. blew up the pipelines. Do you know?
It was before.
Oh, yeah. Oh, before that happened.
Hmm.
Yeah. But actually, there's one pipeline still working, and Putin has officially announced internationally. He said, well, we can turn it on if you want it to turn on. You can buy that gas, same price.
Or they can get it through Ukraine.
Yeah.
The south.
Yeah,
southern,
Ukraine.
right?
When Ukraine is going to put up, and I think they have been putting some hefty prices on. They did that to Hungary.
Stealing it too.
Yeah, and siphoning some off as well.
Mm.
Yeah, so... And yeah, Maria Zakharova. I think we have a.
So this is our.
We don't.
This is your.
Yeah, Maria Zakharova photo of the day.
Every show.
Yes, every show. This
There
time
you go.
she's outside. Yeah, but unfortunately, no videos of her saying. She just says that his main lie was that Russia cut off the gas, but it must be true, like I said, because Olaf Scholz said it. But anyway, on top of this, the UK has also given Ukraine the missiles and the permission to use them on Crimea. Isn't that incredible? Here are some, what do they call them, storm shadows?
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead and shoot Crimea, because that's part of Ukraine. I mean, it was for a couple of decades, but for hundreds of years before that, it belonged to Russia, and it belongs to Russia now. And all the people are Russian, and they don't want to be a part of Ukraine, but that doesn't matter.
And as we said, the 20,000 Ukrainian soldiers, and they're just...
The little green men.
Yeah, they just changed sides.
That they just said, okay, well, we're switching over to Russia.
They were the little green men. They just took their insignias off.
Incredible. Yes, and we all know anyway that the UK has been assisting Ukraine in these attacks on Russian ships in the Crimea, and then they're giving them logistical supports. Now Russia has barges up in front there to help detour or stop a lot of these drones, But they did do a lot of damage on the Russian ships. I think a lot of them, it's not like they control the Black Sea, and Russia is allowing, I think, the grain ships to get through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any smuggling of weapons is coming through. Like, that's one of the main problems that was happening before, and why Russia stopped it is because the West was smuggling weapons in on the ship's return. So makes me wonder, why don't they just send them through Romania? I don't understand that. And then Poland. Of course, it does come through Poland anyway, but...
Yeah. Didn't they destroy the tunnel, the Russians?
I don't know. I don't know that there was a tunnel. I
thought there was a train tunnel, and they destroyed the entrance.
They might have.
Can't remember.
You'd think if that was true, they could just rebuild it, but of course Russia would blow it up again. Yeah. Yes, but anyway, Boris Johnson remember he had this interview, it was just some weeks ago, and he said, "Oh, Crimea, that's interesting," as if he's just entered his head. Oh yeah, taking over Crimea, that's an interesting prospect. But like I was going to say anyway, I said in other videos, when I was in the military, I used to, meet a lot of these higher ranking officers, 4-star generals and all that, and then their aides,
They had aides?
Yes, indeed. And but they, they're XOs, I guess, executive officers and things. Normally a major is a executive officer for a general, but sometimes you have these lieutenants or things like that.
It's like that movie I sent you the other day.
I didn't watch the whole movie though. I just watched.
You saw the start of it. The musical. Everybody has aides. Go ahead.
But what was I saying? Anyway,
cut your train of thought there.
Yes, you stopped the train of inevitability. But these people, I remember back in those days, as I always said, I've said it probably 3 times already now, they wanted to kick Russia out of Crimea. And now, of course, they want to take the Crimea. And that's probably a lot of what the whole reason why the U.S. was provoking Ukraine to, start these hostilities against Russia and see if they can get away with, rolling over Russia. But Russia said, no. So that's how it all started anyway, in my opinion. Yes, more indications of this inevitable defeat of Ukraine even came on CNN. They said Ukraine is in a nightmare whereby they will have to make sacrifices. And, it's like, that's what I was saying, that Scott Ritter was mentioning that they're not going to be making these sacrifices. They think they're going to be able to hold these areas. You thin out your troops in this area to send them up to one area, and they're just going to be sending them back and forth. Well, that's just going to allow Russia to actually, by piecemeal, move in more and more forward all throughout the line. So we'll see. I think like what Russia did, as you remember, I think it was in the fall of last year, they made a strategic withdrawal and let Ukraine take a certain area because it was very hard to defend. And as a matter of fact, this is now mostly the same area that Russia is now taking back. So, but Russia has a lot more men now, and I think they can hold this area. And obviously the tables are turned. Ukraine does not have the manpower anymore.
I think they got 100,000 there, right?
Yeah. Well, they have a lot of people, but they also have a lot of areas, and I don't know. You mean Russia has 100,000 there?
Mm-hmm.
I think they might have more.
No, just in that area.
Oh, in that area up in the north by Kharkiv and all that. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot for that area, if that's true. Yeah, but even the New York Times. But yeah, Ukraine is saying, CNN is saying now they need to, sacrifice something. But CNN are not known for being great experts anyway. Who do they have that? Who's that general they always have on there? Keane was one of them, right?
Hodges?
Yeah, Hodges is another one. These guys, I think, a 10-year-old child can be just as good of a military genius as these jokers. I don't know. They're probably put up to saying a whole bunch of weird crap up there that doesn't make any sense and is not very good strategically militarily anyway.
They send or say crap on Twitter as well, X.
Yeah.
Constantly.
And I think even, who was it? I don't know if it was Colonel McGregor or was it Scott Ritter? A lot of people are talking about the crap that these guys talk anyway. And they're generals. I might have even met some of them, seriously, when I was working in the 1980s. They're retired, and I'm still young and pretty, but anyway. Yes. anyway, Russia, since Friday, Russia has captured probably 10 villages by now. It was 9, and it was almost going to be 10. And according to Nick Patton Walsh of CNN, Russia has arguably had the fastest advance since the first days of the war. And the New York Times admitted that Russia's advance could demoralize the West to pressure Kiev into a truce. The Times article said Zelensky partly blames Washington for the recent losses. Oh, partly? Yeah, partly. But because they didn't, well, it's a lot more than partly. They're the ones that egged them on and started the whole thing in the first place. I don't think Ukraine would have actually started this, but that was before Zelensky's time anyway. They wouldn't have started it without the U.S. pushing them. But he said Ukraine is hostage of the U.S. Zelensky said Ukraine is hostage of the U.S. presidential election and the politics in Congress. And if we're honest about it and we want to find out who or what is to blame, think about the combination of a few things. You can call it the system if you want, if you wish, but it's what makes up this system that I'm talking about. Think of these things: the system whereby one nation has the ability to print the world's only reserve currency that's backed by nothing, and as many of these notes as they want, whether they really exist in physical form or they just only exist on a computer keyboard. That's only one reason why this is, what is at fault for causing this war and actually egging it on. And think of real fascism, the marriage of corporate money, which is actually fake, as I just said, to government power. And we're just talking about, like, say, the military-industrial complex. What about the banks? Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs had a lot to do with what was going on in Syria. And, they do with a lot of these wars anyway. All these banks are involved in this sort of thing, because they know how to make the money, and also big pharma. You even have, am I allowed to say this on YouTube? Some of these laboratories, I'll just say, in Ukraine, they're even connected to a company, like I was saying, called Rosemont Seneca, which has a lot to do with the Biden family, which has had, and Joe Biden, that was one of his pet projects anyway in Ukraine. Not to mention George Soros. He almost shared an office with Victoria Nuland in Kiev. I mean, not George Soros, but his office, his the name I keep forgetting, this because it doesn't make sense anyway, this Open Society Foundation, was sharing in an office with Victoria Nuland they probably even talked in the bathroom when they were going to the bathroom or something together. That's because the toilets are together now. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably in the Ukraine as well. I mean, that was part of the joining the what is it called now? The Sodom and Gomorrah? No, this world, this new rules-based, I don't know, LGBT and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, the fascism is another part, and which, like I said, is the government money or corporate money married to government power, as described by Mussolini, who created fascism, gave it its name and everything in 1919. Did you know they were in Italy the other day celebrating Mussolini? I'll tell you what, I don't... In the north? Mussolini, in some ways, he's not anywhere near as bad. He walks and he was strutting around like a big shot all the time, but I don't think he's really... I think they just, overdid how bad he was. He wasn't any kind of a racist, and they equate fascism today as some kind of a racism sort of a deal, which it has nothing to do with the real fascism. And he said everybody is welcome in his country, blacks, Jews, and everything. So he had nothing against any ethnic people. So, when he was younger and a journalist, MI5 was paying him. MI5? Is that one of those? Yeah, he was kicked out of Switzerland, and I think it was for promoting socialism. Fascism is actually just a sort of an economic system of socialism. And as you know, the National Socialist Party of Germany was led by Adolf Hitler, and the socialist of Ukraine, of Italy, was led by Mussolini. And yet socialism is far left and fascism is far right, but nevertheless, they're like the same thing, you know? So socialism and fascism are, oh, I have a dog here making some noises.
No, the thing fell off the window.
Oh, no. That's an omen. Central bank, yeah, like I said, you know, all these complexes, military industrial complex, and then you have the big pharma stuff. And like we mentioned, these labs in Ukraine, all this stuff is all tied together. And then mixed with that, ideology such as Nazism, like we just said, which is not fascism, but that is a thing that has something to do with your race or religion or something like that. As that's like a you can call it exceptionalism. And I didn't yet mention American exceptionalism, but Nazism is a form of exceptionalism too. And then there's Zionism, like looking at how did these so-called Zionists, what do they think of Palestinians, like, for example? So anyway, like I said, that's just ideology. So you see, you know, like the exceptional people, as Obama said about Americans, it's not much different than God's chosen people or the master race. So, yeah. And then you have the human things like greed and arrogance and, you know, what do you say, hegemony, all kinds of stuff like that. You know, we have lights and things going on here. And this, Mr. Anderson, is the sound of inevitability. When you get all these things together and you find out what's going on, it's crazy stuff, why that's what's caused all these problems in Ukraine. That's what's causing all these problems in Gaza. And if we have something like a multipolar world, it's going to put some checks and balances on a lot of this kind of problem. So we should all welcome a multipolar world where you're not going to have just one currency or one country that can control their currency and force it upon everybody else. A lot of these problems, like I said, you just have to think about it. And it's all the power is not going to be centered in one or two people's, like you say. And you also have to wonder, well, who's in charge? Is it Israel in charge? Because Israel admits that they control the United States for the most part. So are they the masters of the universe, or is it U.S., or is it both? I don't know. Interesting stuff, huh? More stuff falling down. Are you doing that, Mr. Doggy? Mrs. Doggy, anyway.
Yeah, Miss
Doggy. Oh, she's not married.
Yeah.
Oh. She gave me a face there.
She's available.
For any other Chihuahuas out there, I'm not talking about Estonia or Lithuania or Latvia, but you know, she probably wouldn't want anything to do with them. But
she's born in Belarus. She's Belarusian.
Really?
Mm.
Okay. Oh, she's a foreigner.
No, what?
A foreigner, then.
No, she's born in Belarus.
Oh, we're foreigners.
We're foreigners.
Oh, man. I thought Americans owned the world.
No,
I'm American.
You don't.
But you're Australian. You're a puppet.
We're a colony.
Controller of the world. Anyway, crazy stuff. So the multipolar world is trying to be stopped by the USA, the masters of the universe, and the puppets they control are also helping them. The Baltic states, you better watch out for those Chihuahuas, baby. I mean, I think, what does they have, a military altogether of 40,000 people? I don't even think it's that big, to be honest with you. And the U.S. has now...
So that means it's the same size as the UK?
Did they have only 40,000?
Apparently, you can fit them in one. You can fit them in a stadium.
Jeez, incredible! And here they're threatening Russia, like, we're going to come and get you.
Yeah, they just decided to build their new Challenger 3 tanks, and they're only going to build 148 of them.
It's like that Monty Python video, you know, like where they're fighting. Some knight comes on, and then the guy chops his arm off. I can still fight. And he starts chopping them all, and then I can still fight. I think he puts a sword in his mouth after.
Knight,
after all, come over here, you chicken. You know, I don't know.
The Holy Grail.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That wasn't in the Monty Python thing.
It was a Holy Grail. It was a Monty Python movie.
Yeah, the crew, but not not in the series of Monty Python. Yeah. Okay.
George Harrison produced that and paid for that.
That movie.
Mm-hmm.
George Harrison of the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
When Lennon was in there.
What?
Lennon?
Lennon where?
Lennon in the Beatles. He was in the Beatles, wasn't he, Lennon?
George Harrison.
No, yeah, but Lennon was also there, right?
Yeah.
That was after he was in control of Russia.
Oh, right, Lennon.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't.
It's a different Lennon. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I just got to mix up, because
they got statues of Lennon everywhere here.
Yeah, they like the Beatles.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Lennon statue. Isn't that incredible?
Everywhere.
And he's British.
Yeah.
Actually, Lennon, I think he was a mix, wasn't he? I mean, they're both real. They're both real, but the Russian Lennon was not fully Russian, I believe.
I don't know.
I don't think he was part Ukrainian. Like most of these leaders of the Soviet Union were actually Ukrainian. And
Brezhnev, Khrushchev.
Yeah, and then if they're not Ukrainian, they're married to Ukrainian, or they look at like
Gorbachev.
Yeah, he was Ukrainian too, right?
No, he's married to a Ukrainian, I think.
Gorbachev. Yeah, maybe so. But anyway, they did all this stuff, and then if Lenin was not Ukrainian, he gave them the Donbass. Stalin was Georgian, and he gave them a bunch of property too, a bunch of land and all that. And then Ukraine is sitting there crying and saying, "Oh, they treated us unfairly. The Soviet Union treated us unfairly," when actually they were the spoiled brat child of the Soviet Union more than any other country or entity. Terrible stuff. Ukraine. That's why Putin should be glad. That's why he said, we're not against them going into the European Union. You go ahead and take them, and you pay for them too. You can go ahead and pay for them. We've been paying for them since the very beginning. Anyway, forget about that. So let's talk about now the United States is going after China. They're introducing harsh trade sanctions. And it's because maybe because China is trading toilet paper to Russia because it can have a dual purpose. No, actually, it's just a bunch of threats, and the United States wants to show that they can dominate China. And of course, they're softening up China at the moment. It's going to come after Russia, and it looks like they're not going to be successful in taking Russia down. So I don't know. Are they going to pivot after they lose in Ukraine? Are they going to pivot to China? But Obama already did his pivot to China. But we're going to have the war pivot to China. Who knows? Janet Yellen, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, said, I guess it's a quote, "I hope we don't see a major reaction from China, but that's always a possibility." After they're throwing all these trade restrictions on China, to punish them, for being friends with Russia. And now you were mentioning, and I saw that as well, but maybe a little bit more. They're now going after India. Are they threatening India?
Threatening India for want to do a port with Iran.
Iran, okay. One of the other evil countries, the axis of evil. Yeah, because I'll tell you what, why that is? Because Netanyahu has been saying since the 1980s that Iran is 2 months away from having a nuclear bomb. He started saying that in the 1980s, and Iran hasn't stopped. They haven't stopped producing this nuclear bomb since the 1980s, and they're, that 2 months, and it's going to be 2 months, and they're going to have the nuclear bomb, and they're lying, and they're saying we don't need a nuclear bomb. Damn them anyway. So that's how it's all going on. That's why you have to punish Iran too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed.
So the US has just put 100% tariffs on EVs because they can't compete.
On Chinese-made EVs?
100% tariff.
Wow.
As you can see on the screen.
U.S. to impose 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicle imports. Does Tesla make any in China? I don't know.
Yeah, but for the Chinese market.
For the Chinese market. I wonder. But actually, as you know, Chinese, they make really good cars,
There's lots here. Every day I see more and more on the streets here.
And you ride them and they're like stable and they ride well and everything. It's like there's nothing wrong with these.
Half the cost.
Yeah, it's incredible. And isn't there actually, I think you were showing me that DJI makes an electric car, right?
No, the phone company starts with X.
Oh, Sumi. make cell phones.
And they've sold
Xiaomi, I think.
Yeah, and they sold out the first year's production.
And it's like there's practically nobody working in that factory. It's just machines.
We showed that video.
That's incredible. Just you press a button and out on one side and come out the other end. There's a car. Wow.
Yeah, every 11 seconds or something.
Wow. Yeah. Incredible. That's why they're so cheap. You just have to oil the machines every once in a while.
It's like their cruise missile machine. Makes
Really? They have missiles made that way too?
Yeah, we played that video as well.
Wow. I don't even remember that.
100 a day.
Maybe I just wouldn't accept in my head because I couldn't believe it.
Well, I've got another one.
My head wouldn't accept it.
Do you want to see this one from China? We'll slightly digress.
Okay. No, that's not digressing. We're there right now.
Where is it? Here it is. Oh. I will show you a different factory. So this is in China as well. This is a humanoid robot factory.
Is that Kamala Harris? With a wig? Oh. Acts like Kamala Harris. Jeez.
我们的机器人员工已经开始量产了。
That man's a robot right there too, huh? No, that one's not probably. That one is, right? I don't know. Holy moly, you know. Well, maybe we can, instead of Trump having anything to do with Stormy Daniels, maybe he can get one of those things. But I don't know. Shouldn't I talk about that? Oh, anyway.
We need to stop streaming to YouTube.
Yeah, probably, because you can't really say anything here. Yeah, but
Facebook has started hassling us as well.
They did, huh?
Yeah.
What are they saying now?
They're putting a blank thing over the video saying there's adult content.
Well, they caught up with us. Oh, now we're doomed.
But big news, news of big, will be on TikTok streaming live and D-Live on Sunday.
Wow. Isn't that incredible?
So if you want to go check out our TikTok account, we're on there now. Posted the first 2 videos, but we will be live there and on D-Live as well.
Yeah, we can post this one and tell the people on TikTok through this video right now that we'll be live.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, indeed.
Hey, TikTok, we're live Sunday.
Yes, you hear that, TikTok? Tomorrow when we put this on there? Maybe we can fake like it's tomorrow. Just kidding. Yeah, and then it's not live. Yeah. Okay. If we switch to, what's going on now in Gaza, I tell you, like, I don't know. To me, it's like you watch these people and makes you wonder, how did the government make their own people become this way? Look at, because anyway, it's look at what the most of these are like radical settlers apparently, but there's a lot of people in Israel that will do this stuff, and I'm not saying all these Israelis, and I don't necessarily 100% blame these people. It makes you wonder who radicalized these people.
They said 80% of the population believe what's going on.
Believe? What do you mean, like believe?
What they're doing is right.
Jeez. Yeah, that's really effective brainwashing.
Sounds like another country in the 40s.
Yeah, and
30s.
Also the western part of another country in Eastern Europe that we just already talked about. So watch what these people do. They're not only ruining the aid, they're ruining a lot of these trucks too, like breaking the mirrors, flattening the tires, things like that. Not a policeman in sight. Incredible. Actually, it's been put out that the police tip these people off when and where these convoys will be. Yeah, we showed that one last week too, and they're laughing while they're destroying aid and things like that. People are starving, and these are innocent people. You know, a lot of these are just children, women, whatever. Supposed to get this food, running away from the violence, and yeah, these people are having fun and laughing. They want to take over that land, and I don't know. Bad ideologies. To me, it's not any different than like you talked about that guy in the 40s or in Germany, Adolphus, whatever.
Yeah, but also all the people.
Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of if you study that era, you know, a lot of these people they don't really know what was going on completely.
They all say that. Come on.
Well, my mother actually lived there, and you know, she was living in Eastern Germany, northeastern Germany, and
she was lying to you.
She was lying. Yeah. So, yeah, but
how could you not know what was going on?
Well, partly because, as you know, a lot of that stuff did not go on anyway. It wasn't anything near extreme, is what they said, and you know, I don't know if we can even talk about it on YouTube. So, you know, talk about like whatever facts are actually known, and what Jewish scholars even found out, and of course they're criticized for coming out and saying this stuff. And if you have the official story and you have to believe it, whatever it is, and like I said, you can't make excuses for Adolf, you know, but he was obviously an imperialist, and he obviously was a supremacist, and yeah, but some of the other things, you know, it wasn't as extreme as what they were saying. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. And anyway, you see what's going on here. This you didn't see any police, but there are police nearby because the border is there. And something that a lot of people are not putting out is they closed the borders going to Gaza since like around the 6th to the 7th of
they took over the Philadelphia corridor, but that was part of the Camp David agreement, so they've broken that.
Yeah, they broke that, and it looks like Egypt is really pissed off, and now they're going to be joining South Africa and Turkey, and what is the other country or something in supporting, well, South Africa in their bid that was genocide, what's going on there in Gaza right now. So, you know, when you start, you know, because one thing is, I think Egypt said if they would have told us what they're going to do, it would have been different, but they didn't. They just moved right in and took it. So, yes, and as we said, there's no police anywhere there, and there was police, but they weren't on the scene there. And the borders are all closed. No aid is going into Gaza, and hasn't been, I think, since at least the 6th of May. And that's not being announced anywhere, is it? Not on any mainstream news broadcast or anything anywhere. And at the same time, Biden, as we all heard, Biden said, "Oh, it's so cruel that we halted a weapons shipment to Israel." Well, guess what? I think was it yesterday or the day before? They're sending $1 billion worth of weapons and ammunition to Israel. And it's already on its way. So, in other words, that didn't last very long. He halted those shipments for like 3 days. Wow, isn't that incredible? He really cares. Yeah, actually, he's sending $1.25 billion worth, and he's never sent that much in one shipment to Ukraine. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. And Ukraine is actually fighting against a military that also has weapons. But, you know, Israel, what does Hamas have? Some rifles or something, and that's about it. Yes. So here is another video, and it's talking about Biden, I guess. Also, it's about these. First, I'll say, we're in this video. They're mentioning these 2,000-pound bombs that the U.S. could never pawn off on anybody because they're way, way, way too powerful and they cause way too much destruction. You drop that and it blows up more than like an apartment building. It blows up a huge area, and they're unsafe to use in any kind of a residential area. But here she's going to ask him.
I want to ask you about something happening as we sit here and speak, and that, of course, is Israel is striking Rafah. I know that you have paused, Mr. President, shipments of 2,000-pound U.S. bombs to Israel due to concern that they could be used in any offensive on Rafah. Have those bombs, those powerful 2,000-pound bombs, been used to kill civilians in Gaza?
Civilians have been killed in Gaza as a consequence of those bombs and other ways in which they go after population centers.
Oh, Blinken is pissed off now. He shouldn't have spilled the beans on that one. You know how sometimes Biden says things he shouldn't have said? So he should have said, well, we have to investigate that. That's what he should have said. Yeah. And you're also probably hearing that there's a lot of these people that these officials have resigned their positions in the Biden administration as a result of, their policy on Gaza. A U.S. Intel major, Harrison Mann, posted his resignation letter online stating that it's Washington's policy on Gaza. It's enabled and empowered the killing and starvation of tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians. Mann was an executive officer at the Middle East and African Center, so he knows what he's talking about, what's going on. In March, another high official, Anela Sheline, resigned as a foreign affairs officer from the department. She stated her job was impossible as Biden was sending a steady stream of weapons to Israel. That might have been the time when they were sending all those secret shipments over. It was over 100 shipments of secret shipments of weapons to Israel. They gave them so many weapons. I think they dropped more, what did they say? In some weeks than all the bombs that were dropped in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
They dropped them on Gaza. Isn't that incredible? But it's not genocide, people. Man, no. And another official, Josh Paul, a senior State Department official, also resigned earlier than that on this sort of a thing. Nice guys, the Biden administration anyway. Then it's incredible. Why would they do this stuff to kill these? It's incredible. I can't get it through my head.
Money.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah, and I don't understand what money are they getting from Israel? Power. Maybe it's oil. I don't know. I have no idea. Why is Israel so important? It's I know
America's aircraft carrier in the Middle East.
Yeah, but I don't know why. Yeah. Maybe it's just to threaten all these other countries, but obviously one of it is the AIPAC lobby sending money, going through kind of to Israel. I don't know if a lot of it even goes to the Israel country. A lot of it gets there, of course, but a lot of it is just filtered through and it comes back into campaign contributions. And if you don't support Israel, you don't have much of a chance in politics, like we said already. And also, now we can jump to Georgia. Not Georgia in the United States, but the Republic of Georgia. And apparently the U.S. has invested in ensuring that they control Georgia. So here's a first video of that. U.S. interference. You watch this, I think those are all police in the back. More police than protesters. What you're seeing here, it's peaceful, but smashing windows and doing all kinds of things. And a lot of this, if you've forgotten, is about this foreign agent bill.
Which the U.S. has.
Yeah, the U.S. has that bill.
EU's putting one in.
Yeah, and because Russia has one of these, they call this the Russian law or something?
Russian law, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of countries have these, I'm sure.
Yeah, Georgia's putting in an exact copy of the U.S. one.
The U.S. one, or the exact copy, the U.S. one is really, really extreme. And all this is if you're a foreign entity for the most part, mostly media, you have to register as being a foreign entity.
Also,
and that's it.
No. Also, if you're one of these businesses in Georgia, like in America, media,
I thought it was just media for Georgia.
Any money that's coming in from overseas, you got to register, so you know where the money's coming from.
Okay. Well, you have that to a large extent here in Belarus too. But maybe because of these sanctions, everything's a little bit more extreme. A lot of this stuff is.
So it's okay in the US, EU, but it's not okay in Georgia because then they can't interfere with putting money in.
Yeah, and as we know, the U.S. has a lot of sleeper cells there. I mean, it's not like sleeper cells for as terrorist people that are going to go kill people or whatever. It's sleeper cells for protests, and they were advertising for that, and I think they still have them. They had them from before in Belarus, of course, and they have a lot of them in Kazakhstan. Lots of them, and they come and admit that, and everybody knows they have them in Kazakhstan. They had that little attempted coup d'etat. What was it, a year ago? Kazakhstan, right?
So the Georgian president's going to veto it, and she's got French citizenship.
Yeah. So
all these countries, Moldova, all of them, all their leaders have got green cards or second visas or something to Western countries.
Yeah, but incredible.
That's why Russia changed the laws. So you can't be in the parliament, you can't be the president if you've got a visa for somewhere else, or you live somewhere else, or you can't be president if you haven't been in the country for 20 years.
Yeah, well, they have that in a lot of countries. I remember in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I think the guy that was the deputy prime minister, he had to give up his U.S. citizenship. And most of the people in politics in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that small country, they all have like citizenship of Canada or the United States, or the UK, virtually all of them, So it's like they just have to give it up if
in
they
Australia
want
now,
a high position.
In Australia Parliament, you can't hold two passports.
Yeah. Well, that's actually how Germany had it. I remember by the time you're 18, if you had two passports, you had to give up one in Germany. You can only have German descent or something, a German passport. And people then were saying it was from the Adolf Hitler times or something like that. I don't know.
I bet you they've changed it now with all these immigrants.
Yeah. Yeah, they should have. Anyway. But anyway, a lot of these agencies in Georgia, and it's a very well-known fact, the agencies involved, and a lot of with these very same protests you're watching is USAID, the Voice of America, Radio Free Europe, Open Society Foundation, and of course there are others too. Might even have BLM there, as far as I know. Some, that's kind of how that was run in the United States. George Soros, Barack Obama, and somebody else were like the three peoples that founded it. And then there was, like we said, there was two bankers in California, and this is all just BLM. And they're trying to get some kind of racial fighting going on in the United States. Yes. But we already talked about that. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, they're going to... We have I think there was another video. Where was that video? In Georgia. Yeah, it's interference. Georgia, U.S. interference. That video is there, I hope, right?
Oh, I'll just find it.
Should have been before the last one. Oh, yeah, definitely. I put that one up because that one's more important. It's a U.S. official basically saying, yeah, we meddle. I mean, he's not saying we meddle, but you can see that they listen to what he says.
If the law goes forward out of conformity with EU norms, and there's undermining of democracy here, and there's violence.
It's not EU norms, but EU's putting in the same law.
Yeah.
Against peaceful protesters.
For that day.
We will see restrictions coming from the United States. Those tend to be financial and or travel restrictions on the individuals responsible for those actions and their families.
So you do what the United States expects of you to do, or else sanctions are going to be coming. It's the same old thing. It's just like what we just talked about with China. You better go against Russia, or now we're putting sanctions on you. It's like that's the same as it is with everybody. Incredible. That's why you don't want some country like that to have the world's only reserve currency, central bank that can print out dollars endlessly, as many as they want. Well, we just talked about that, so we don't have to go elucidate on that. But you guys, it's not like I'm not trying to talk to people like they're stupid out there or something, but it's like you're working all day and everything, and you don't have a chance to see this stuff, and it's laid out right in front of you how the United States operates. So you see how this all is, and it's just the same thing. It sounds like a broken record. If we talk about this every show, or at least some kind of topics related to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and after the U.S. blew up 3 of the 4 Nord Stream pipelines, as you know, one of them still is intact. The U.S. did it apparently to. Somebody at least has this theory to start selling their LNG to Europe so that they can sell it. And I guess they were sitting there ready with the ships and everything when they blew up those pipelines. And remember, it's like the day after they blew up the pipeline, Poland had, what was it, a former foreign minister said, "Thank you, USA." And no, that maybe he didn't say it the next day, but it was in the next days. But also within the next less than a week, they opened up another pipeline from Norway to Poland, and maybe that's why it says thank you. Now we're going to be the big gas hub, And if you think about like the Turk Stream, if it's going to get Russian gas and then be able to pump it up through Europe, so instead of the Nord Stream, it'll be the Turk Stream that'll be supplying Europe with gas. There's already one line, right? And I think it goes to Turkey, and then from Turkey to Bulgaria. I don't know, maybe even doesn't go to Hungary though. It could go through Bulgaria and then into Hungary, but who knows? Hungary is getting their gas, I think, through Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
I think through probably one of these Druzhba pipelines. There's a Druzhba line, and it splits into different things. It goes one, I think, go through Belarus, and then anyway, that's different pipelines. But anyway, where are we? The day after that, Norway opened up theirs. They opened up their pipeline to Poland. It seems now Norway is selling too much gas to Europe, and the United States is not very happy. Equinor.
They're going to blow that pipeline up now?
Yeah. You would think so. The U.S.'s way of doing things. But the company, it's not Gazprom. It's called Equinor, the Norwegian gas company. And they have 30% of the EU market now. I don't know exactly how much Russia had it though in those old days. They had quite a bit, of course. I guess it depends on which country, but they have 30% of the market of Europe, according to Bloomberg. And it says here, somebody said, I'm trying to think of now who said this. Maybe it was in Bloomberg. It says, "This, however, doesn't please the U.S." This is a quote, by the way. "This, however, doesn't please the U.S., which has been hoping long before the Ukraine conflict to replace Russian gas supplies with its LNG exports." And of course, the price of the U.S. LNG is I think it's actually 30% higher also. But by the time it gets to Europe, because you have all this, and the transport costs keep going up and up and up because it's transported by ship, it becomes to be very expensive. And that's, of course, one reason why Poland, and I think it was the EU, is asking them to ship even more gas. And the U.S., of course, is getting pissed off because why do you think we blew up that pipeline so that we can sell our liquid natural gas? So you guys better slow it down, Guess that's the whole thing. Yes, and
so much for climate change, shipping all that by ship.
Yeah, and even blowing up the pipeline. Can you imagine all that gas?
Yeah, besides that, but just shipping all that gas across the Atlantic.
Yeah, with these, what is it, diesel engine boats or whatever. And my last,
because they use dirty fuel as well. It's not very clean.
Yeah, you see these ships, and there's big clouds of this. Looks like chemical filled, or at least chemical waste, from burning unclean fuels or something, spewing out into the sky on the ocean there. So my last topic is about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and there's the two guys. Actually, Bill doesn't look too bad there. Normally he looks kind of like a turtle without his shell, but he looks a little bit different there, so that's pretty good. And anyway, as you know, they split up, and I didn't know. So I was thinking, I was reading this, and I think obviously one of the reasons that caused the split up was
Epstein.
Yeah, the Epstein thing. And did or didn't Bill Gates, because I was wondering, is it Bill Gates they're talking about or Jeffrey Epstein? Did he admit that he had something with the 18-year-old girl, Bill Gates?
Don't know.
Because it said this in some article, and it said, and they even mentioned the name of the girl. I was thinking, is that Epstein they're talking about, or is that Bill Gates? Anyway, anybody else that's out there you can help us out on that if you know the real answer on that. So anyway, Melinda Gates is now leaving the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So divorced him and now divorcing herself from the foundation. And they were talking about the foundation. The assets of this charitable foundation was $69 billion as of 2020. That was before the vaccines. So I don't know if anything of Bill's vaccine winnings, which I guess he has a lot of, I don't know if that went into the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, but $69 billion as
and
of...
she's starting another foundation with $21 billion.
Is she really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't read that.
Yeah,
they didn't
exactly.
say that. Wow, good.
21 billion.
Okay. 21 billion. Yeah, I guess being married to Bill Gates, I guess can, and then getting divorced, I guess can leave you possibly sitting pretty well financially. So, yes. And anyway, so they had a lot of assets as a charity, 69 billion. And they said, although 90% of its assets go to wealthy countries. Well, that is really nice of them, isn't it? It goes to wealthy nations as well as being used for political lobbying. Lobbying, of course, without oversight. I guess that's one of the beauties of having a charitable foundation. You don't have oversight. I mean, I'm guessing that's why there was no oversight on that money. So you can just go and buy yourself politicians. And as you know, Bill Gates is a big, substantial donor to the WHO, the World Health Organization. Yeah. I was reading something about Bill Gates, and they had something, it was called the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa. And they were trying to supposedly at least do something again, just to help starving people. And it was targeting of 13 countries in Africa, maybe to relieve starvation. And it resulted in increasing starvation by 30%. Another 30%. Well, this number keeps coming up, 30% here and there. So that's according to a German report. And, where Bill Gates apparently, this I have to say actually a little bit properly, he was involved in laboratories, a laboratory program, and it was discovered by Russian soldiers, when they found these things in laboratories in Ukraine. But he was involved in a, I don't know. I don't want to get us in trouble. In a program involving laboratories, and
do you want to cut YouTube off?
Well, actually, I'm done. I've only finished a sentence, kind of, and that's it. So I guess maybe I made it through. But anyway, we talked about something last week, and it was this actually involves to cultivate infection-carrying ticks and mosquitoes. So, and I'm not saying Bill Gates did it or whatever, but he's somehow connected to that. And let's hopefully YouTube don't get rid of us for that, because as we all said, to find out who controls you, you have to find out who you cannot criticize. So if I'm just saying something about old Billy, and there's other things that old Billy was involved with, and you're not allowed to talk about. So anyway, infection-carrying ticks and mosquitoes. We were talking, I don't know if it's the same thing we were talking about the last time, which was what, Lyme disease or something, right?
Yes.
So I don't know if that's part of it, but anyway. And Russia discovered that not that long ago, July of 2023, that old Bill was involved in some sort of operations like that. And that's actually all I have of the news that I looked at. You might even have a couple, a lot of news, a lot of little things going on, these little themes going around all over the place, and it just helps you understand the world a lot better as, the more of these little themes and things going on. So.
I've got the Singapore Prime Minister. Did you see what he said about all the woke stuff?
No, didn't
Okay.
get to that one.
Okay, here we go. Listen to this.
Oh, is this? Oh. No, I don't know. Is he the present Prime Minister?
Other people's
He's just
issues,
going out. He's
and you become hypersensitive when other people somehow or other say things or mention things or refer to you without the respect which you or your super subgroup feel you are entitled to. It leads to very extreme attitudes and social norms, particularly in some academic institutions, universities. You talk about safe spaces, you talk about appropriate pronouns, you talk about... I'm about to say something which may be offensive to you. If you don't want to hear it, perhaps you'd like to leave now. And life becomes very burdensome. And I don't think we want to go in that direction. It does not make us a more resilient, cohesive society with a strong sense of solidarity. We must be more robust.
Oh, very good. He's actually, he has very good control of the English language. It's probably not his native language and everything. He's smart man too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And okay, goodbye YouTube.
Bye YouTube, even though you're shadow banning us.
Yes, so please go to our Rumble channel. I'll just post the link for Rumble in the chat right now. Give you a few seconds to look at it. 1, 2, 3. So I've posted it, and we'll just wait a second. And then I'll cut YouTube off. Please go to Rumble.
Rumble.
Please go to Rumble. Get ready to
We're
rumble.
Ready to rumble.
And then we will do our You Don't See That in Belarus section.
The fun stuff. Well, not fun stuff.
It's not fun.
Sometimes it's actually far worse than fun.
Yeah.
Worse than not fun. It's the very opposite sometimes. You should put that